Let's get started with our first news. Sean Brady is making waves with his latest comments, and he is not holding back. He just declared that he would absolutely kill Colby Covington in a fight. That's right, Brady isn't mincing words. He's calling out Colby, shutting down any notion that Covington could beat him inside the cage. But that's not all. Brady also revealed that he's no longer interested in fighting Kamaru Usman. At one point, he actively pursued a fight with Usman, even going as far as to DM him multiple times. And guess what? Usman never responded. Radio silence. No acknowledgement. But suddenly, now that Brady has defeated Leon Edwards, Usman wants in. Now Usman is interested. Brady isn't buying it. He calls out the hypocrisy and questions why Usman was nowhere to be found when he wanted the fight. I was trying to get the Usman fight for months. DM'd him, hit him up. Now he's like, man, me and Brady should fight for the #1 contender. Oh, should we? I just beat the guy who beat you twice. But that's not even the craziest part. Colby Covington recently called Brady an easy matchup. And Brady, he was not having it. He straight up buried Covington in this response, reminding everyone that Colby got taken down multiple times by Leon Edwards. A high-level wrestler? Really? Brady isn't convinced. Colby, where are these guys coming from now? Same thing with you. You're this high-level wrestler. Bro, Leon took you down multiple times and beat you. You don't realize your time is fast. You saw what I just did to Leon? Imagine what I'd do to you, bro. I would kill you. You'd be gone. Brady didn't stop there. He even questioned Covington's career. When's the last time that dude won a fight? He sucks. He stinks. How do you get punched on by Masvidal in public and then sue him? You're a pro fighter. Sean Brady is making it clear. He's not just here to compete, he's here to take over. Let's move on to our second big news. Jon Jones had some words for Dominick Reyes today, and as always, he didn't hold back. It all started when Reyes made yet another claim that he beat Jon in their 2020 fight, a fight that Jones officially won via unanimous decision. Reyes has never let this one go, and now he's bringing it up again. But Jones wasn't about to let him rewrite history. Jones fired back, making it clear that there's absolutely no debate in his mind about who won that fight. I'm mentally stronger than him, I'm physically stronger than him, and I beat him. 2 judges had me losing that first round. How, dude? I don't know, dude. Jones went on to explain that for him, fighting isn't just about what the judges say, it's about what happens inside that cage. Fighters know when they've won or lost, and according to him, Reyes knows exactly what happened that night. You've trained with people, right? You've done those things and you know who wins. It doesn't have to be the judges. You know who won. He knows who won. It was underwhelming, honestly, because I thought he was going to be better. Jones also broke down a key moment in the fight that stood out to him. The first time he pushed me against the cage, I adjusted position, elbowed him over the top, and that was clean, super clean. And I was like, that's it? How did that not cut him though? But Jones wasn't done yet. He took things a step further by mocking Reyes in the comment section. He wrote, Dominick, let's play a game of rock, paper, scissors, best 2 out of 3. That way you can finally possibly beat me at something so I don't have to hear these stories 40 years from now. Classic Jon Jones, shutting down his rivals and getting in some trash talk along the way. Let's move on to another interesting story. Ilia Topuria and Paddy had a surprising and somewhat unexpected interaction at the ceremonial weigh-ins. For 2 fighters who have had tension in the past, this was an interesting moment. As they crossed paths, Paddy actually gave Ilia a fist bump. Paddy later shared his thoughts on the interaction, saying, I was staring at him over there and he looked at me. Quite funny, he walked across here, he looked at me, I was looking at him and he did that. Obviously on stage, as I walked past him, we both just laughed and looked at each other. I thought it would be quite funny to just go, and he went like that on my hand and like, hi. This was definitely not the kind of intense, hostile interaction fans might have expected between these two. Instead of trash talk or a heated face-off, they shared a moment that almost seemed friendly. However, Ilia later addressed the situation and explained why it happened the way it did. He made it clear that there was no deeper meaning to the moment. It was just a normal exchange between 2 professional fighters outside of the cage. Ilia made it clear, outside the fight they can be civil, but once it's time to throw down, all friendliness disappears. Could this be a sign that a future fight between Ilia Topuria and Paddy Pimblett is inevitable? Time will tell. Chael Sonnen has weighed in on the possibility of Alex Pereira rematching Magomed Ankalaev, and he doesn't think it's a good idea. The former UFC fighter and well-known analyst made it clear that while he respects Pereira both personally and professionally, he just doesn't see a path to victory in a rematch. I'm a very big Alex Pereira fan on a personal level, but also his work inside the cage. I gotta tell you, there was nothing within that first fight. Whether illness, injury, or a combination of both, there was nothing about that first fight that would lead a reasonable analyst to believe you're going to have a different outcome in the second fight. Sonnen is referring to the dominance Ankalaev displayed in their first meeting. Despite Pereira's striking credentials and moments of success in the fight, the overall performance didn't indicate that he could turn things around in a rematch. That first fight was 4-1. It was 4 rounds to 1. It really was not overly competitive. Sonnen acknowledged that Pereira did some things well, particularly in defending takedowns, but the fight itself didn't have a high pace or much action, and more importantly, the rounds were clearly in Ankalaev's favor. There were some good things done by Pereira, such as stopping takedowns. We didn't know he had this ability, but it was a pretty slow pace and there wasn't a lot done. Then came Sonnen's final argument. Even if they run it back, why would anything change? I'm just suggesting there's nothing we saw even at a drawn-down, action-packed night, or lack thereof. There's nothing to believe that rounds 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are going to be any different. In other words, Sonnen believes a rematch wouldn't just be pointless, it would be predictable. Do you agree with Chael Sonnen? Should Pereira move on, or does he deserve another shot at Ankalaev? Ilia Topuria has just dropped a major bombshell regarding his fighting future. The former featherweight champion has officially confirmed that his next fight will be for the UFC title, no matter what. Speaking at a press conference with a Spanish media outlet, Topuria made it crystal clear. His next opponent won't just be anyone, it will be for gold. The UFC promised me an immediate title shot in my next division. Doesn't matter who I fight next, it will be for the belt. This statement has set the MMA world on fire, as speculation grows over who he will face and which division he will compete in. But Topuria didn't stop there. He sent a direct message to the current lightweight champion, Islam Makhachev. He made it very clear that Makhachev has only 2 options: face Ilia Topuria in his next fight, vacate the belt, and step aside. The UFC promised me, and every promise they've made to me has been kept. This declaration adds even more pressure on Makhachev, who has been eyeing bigger challenges outside the lightweight division, including a potential move up to welterweight. However, with Topuria now demanding his shot, Makhachev might have no choice but to defend his belt against the surging Spanish-Georgian star. The UFC's commitment to Topuria also raises questions. Does this mean he's officially moving up to 155 pounds? Or could the UFC be planning something unexpected, like a 145-pound super fight? Topuria's rise has been nothing short of spectacular. His dominant performances inside the octagon, along with his star power in Spain and beyond, have clearly caught the UFC's attention. Now, with this promise of a title shot, the question isn't if he'll fight for the belt, but who he'll face when that moment comes. With UFC matchmaking constantly evolving, all eyes are now on Dana White and the UFC to see how they'll respond to Topuria's demand. Do you think Islam Makhachev will accept the fight, or will he vacate the belt and move up? Let us know your thoughts. In yet another explosive claim, Jorge Masvidal has accused Colby Covington of using drugs, suggesting that it may have played a significant role in Colby's recent loss inside the octagon. Masvidal made this shocking statement during his appearance on the Ariel Helwani show, where he didn't hold back his thoughts on his longtime rival. I saw the highlights of it. I didn't see it in its entirety, but I liked it. He busted his ass up. I wasn't surprised, Masvidal said, clearly enjoying Covington's defeat. But then he dropped an even bigger bombshell, alleging that Colby's declining performance might be due to his drug use. He's been doing a lot of drugs. From what I hear, man, the cardio was his God-given ability, the only thing he had, and he snorted it away. This is a huge accusation against Covington, who has always been known for his relentless cardio and ability to push the pace for 5 full rounds. If Masvidal's claims are true, it could explain Covington's lackluster performance in his recent fights, where he hasn't looked as dominant as he once was. However, it's important to note that Masvidal and Covington have a long history of bad bad blood. The two former training partners turned bitter rivals have been at odds for years, even leading to a legal battle after Masvidal allegedly assaulted Covington outside a Miami restaurant. This latest accusation will only add more fuel to their ongoing feud. At the moment, Covington has not responded to Masvidal's claims, but given his history of trash talk and fiery responses, it wouldn't be surprising if he fired back soon. Whether or not there's any truth to Masvidal's accusations remains to be seen, but this certainly raises big questions about Covington's future in the sport. Could Colby's best days be behind him, or will he bounce back and silence the critics? Let us know what you think. Daniel Cormier reacts to Ilia Topuria's comments. UFC legend and former two-division champion Daniel Cormier has weighed in on Ilia Topuria's recent bold claims, and let's just say, DC isn't buying it. Topuria recently stated that Islam Makhachev and Charles Oliveira are afraid to fight him, implying that the top-ranked lightweights are avoiding a showdown with him. However, Cormier strongly disagrees with this notion and made his stance crystal clear. "I know for sure Islam is not afraid of him," Cormier said, dismissing Topuria's claims outright. Ilia might strike some fear in some, but Islam isn't one of them. DC didn't stop there. He made it clear that none of the top-ranked fighters in the lightweight division are ducking anyone. Neither is Justin Gaethje, neither is Charles Oliveira, neither is Dustin Poirier or Michael Chandler. Those guys are not afraid of each other. Cormier's response is hardly surprising. As a former fighter himself, he understands the mentality of elite competitors, especially at the highest level of the UFC. Fear isn't something that dictates matchups in divisions stacked with battle-tested warriors. While Topuria's confidence is undeniable, Cormier's reaction suggests that calling out champions and claiming they are scared isn't the best approach. Instead, DC seems to be challenging Topuria to prove himself inside the cage rather than stirring controversy outside of it. Despite Cormier's dismissal, there's no doubt that Topuria is making serious noise in the UFC, and his demand for a title shot is gaining attention. Whether or not he will face Makhachev, Oliveira, or another top contender remains to be seen. Will Topuria back up his words in the octagon? Or is DC right in saying that the lightweight elite fear no one? Let us know what you think. Michael Bisping reacts to Alex Pereira's broken hand versus Ankalaev. Former UFC champion and current analyst Michael Bisping has shared his thoughts on the recent revelation that Alex Pereira fought Magomed Ankalaev with a broken hand. Pereira's injury was confirmed after the fight, but Bisping believes the Brazilian deserves massive respect for not making excuses, even when Joe Rogan publicly acknowledged the injury. "Massive respect to Alex Pereira," Bisping said, because if Joe Rogan came out and said it, he could have gone down that path and said, "Well, yeah, I didn't want to say anything, but since it's out there now, yeah, that's true." Instead, Pereira kept quiet and took the loss without blaming his injury. That's something Bisping greatly admires. But the big question remains, did the broken hand actually impact the fight's outcome? Bisping believes we'll get our answer if a rematch happens. The reality is, fighters never walk into the octagon at 100%. Bisping pointed out that almost every fighter carries injuries into the cage, but only some use it as an excuse. The UFC Hall of Famer explained that we'll see how much the injury really mattered in Pereira's next fight. We'll know the difference in the next fight. If Alex goes out there, swings like crazy, and gets a big knockout, then people will say, "Look, that's it. His hand was broken the first time." But if he loses again, then that's clearly not the reason. In other words, if Pereira looks completely different in a rematch and delivers a dominant win, fans might believe the broken hand played a role in his first loss to Ankalaev. But if the result is the same, then it's clear Ankalaev simply has his number. One thing's for sure, if a rematch does happen, fans will be watching closely to see if Pereira can bounce back. As many of you, our regular viewers, have asked us to add timestamps and improve pronunciation mistakes, we've now added timestamps to this video. We're also working hard to improve the pronunciation mistakes, and in a few days, you won't see them anymore. We really appreciate your feedback, and we'd like to say a huge thank you for helping us reach 2,000 subscribers. Thanks for supporting us and helping us improve. If you have any more suggestions or requests, feel free to tell us in the comments below. Also, my email is available in the contact info, and that's going to wrap it up. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more fight news.